Hey there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Battle Reports with Commander CheapSkate. This is a 2,000 point battle of Orcs and Goblins versus Fresh Prince Bel-Air of the High Elves. So let's see what happens when Grom the Paunch and his 2,000 points of Orcs and Goblins take on the hated High Elves. Alright, with the horns of war now sound, I was going to talk about our army list. This is my Apocalypse Now list. It has a 2,000 point Orcs and Goblins army, so let's go over the list real quick. First of all, I have Grom the Paunch of the Misty Mountains. I have also equipped with Grom's Chariot, Niblet the Night Goblin Battle Standard Bearer, the Axe of Grom Lucky Banner. He is serving as both my Battle Standard Bearer as well as my General. Next, we have Rugged Stuntifleya. He is a Orc Great Shaman with a level 4 upgrade, Fencer's Blades, Talisman of Endurance, and the Crown of Command. Next, we have the Shrieking Shroomhead. He is a Night Goblin Shaman with a level 2 upgrade, the Shrieking Blade, and the Dispel Scroll. Next comes my core choices, which are the Dim Sneaky Gits, which is 20 Night Goblins with Short Bows and 3 Fanatics. Next comes the Lutas with 20 Night Goblins, Short Bows, and 3 Fanatics. After then comes the War Boys with 39 Orcs with Standard Bearer, Musician, Shields, Biggins Upgrade, and the Wailing Banner. And then finally rounding out my special choice is Dimdef Head Goths, which is 20 Black Orcs with a Standard Bearer, Musician, Shields, as well as a Razor Standard. And then for my final rare choice, I have Dim Kamikaze Boys, which are 2 Goblin Doom Divers. And that brings me with my 2,000 point army. Alright, so let's talk about my opponent's list, which is House Laenel, the Silvery Host of Kalador. It is a High Elf army, and for their general, they have Archmage Tytos Laenel. He is an Archmage with level 4 upgrade, Talisman of Endurance, and the Book of Asher. Next comes Tanis Laenel, who is a High Elf Noble, with Heavy Armor, White Lion Cloak, Great Weapon Shield, as well as a Battle Standard Bearer upgrade. No magical stand on that character. Next, for their core choices, we have the Eagle Guard, which is 12 archers, the Griffin Guard, which are 12 archers. We also have House Laenel Guards, which are 10 Silverhelm Knights with full command. For our special choices, we have the Everwardens, which are 15 White Lions with Trace with full command. The Sad Flutes, which are 20 Swordmasters of Hoeth with full command and the Banner of Eternal Flame. And then Lord Laenel's Retinue, which is 22 Phoenix Guards with full command and the Banner of the World Dragon. That's right, that's the really unkillable unit that we're facing on that one. And then finally, for their rare choices, we have the Reigns of Kalador, which are 2 Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers. And that is their 2,000 point army. Alright, so that takes us to deployment. As you can see on the Orcs and Goblins line, starting from the left all the way to the right, we have my 2 units of Night Goblin Archers with their Fanatics. Behind them, we have Grom the Paunch, who's kind of protect on the front and the flank as well from incoming fire. He's there to lend basically leadership and support to the Night Goblins, who are the suppressing element of this unit. Right next to them, my unit 20 of 20 Black Orcs, the Dimhef Goths. Those guys are kind of holding the center there. On the very far right-hand side, we have the War Boys, which are my 39 Orc Biggins with the Great Shaman located in them. And in the very back, we have my 2 Doom Diver catapults. So that is deployment for Orcs and Goblins on this side of the board. And now let's talk about deployment for the High Elves, starting from the right, leading all the way to the left-hand side. You can see that unit of the Everwardens, which are the White Lions of Trace. They're kind of all on the right-hand side. Next to them comes the Swordmasters of Oath. Then the unit's kind of partially behind that unit of Standing Stones. Right next to them on the left-hand side is that huge block Phoenix Guard with the Archmage, as well as the Battle Standard Bearer located in that group, and that unit also has the Banner of the World Dragon, so that's a really unkillable group. Behind them we have the 2 units of 12 archers apiece. On the very far left-hand side, taking cover of the force, we have the 2 bolt throwers, the Reigns of Kalador, and then on the very far left-hand side we have the cavalry, which are the 10 Silverhelm Knights, and those guys are all the way in the left-hand flank. So that is deployment for the High Elves. Alright, so we have turn 1 for the Orcs and Goblins. Basically, as you can see in this picture, the whole movie basically moves up. I was managed to cast Hand of Gork and teleport the War Boys into the right-hand flank of that unit, so my War Boys are now centered for a wonderful flank charge along the entire main line. Shooting is useless because the wards to the Phoenix Guard. I basically wasted my time opening up with my Doom Diver catapults and the unit of Phoenix Guard trying to kill as many as possible. With their wards to execute really hard, so now I realize I basically have to use those guys elsewhere. So pretty much an uneventful round because there is no combat in this turn, so because of that, that is the end of turn number 1 for the Orcs and Goblins. Now we go to turn number 1 for the High Elves. Basically, the Griffin Guard, the Eagle Guard, the Sad Flutes, and the Everwardens all take a leadership test and make a quick swift reform to face the War Boys. So majority of the army is now facing against that major flank attack that I'm launching on the right-hand side. House Laenel's Guards, on the other hand, which are the Silverhelm Knights, they kind of script the left-hand flank and kind of set themselves up in order to trying to get into a flank charge into my Night Goblin archers. I pretty much shut down the magic phase in this turn. They try to cast that dreaded spell, Walk Between Worlds. He was going to try to move up his, his Phoenix Guard and try to move him to the other side of the board so that way they can intercept the War Boys, but I managed to shut that down with a Dispel Scroll because that spell is horrible. And then the Raids of Kaldor shoot and they kill 4 of my Black Orcs. So that was shooting phase for them. And since there's no combat this turn, that pretty much ends the round for the High Elves as well. Alright, with that, we go to turn number 2 for Orcs and Goblins. For the movement phase, the War Boys charge with the Everwardens, and the rest of the army basically fans out to attack the main line of the High Elves. Magic is pretty much a wash. They were able to shut down pretty much my entire Magic phase. I think I rolled a 2 and a 1, so I only had 3 power dice to begin with, so they were to stop most everything I was trying to cast. Shooting wasn't very good as either. I try to fire one of my Doomdiver catapults to the Bolt Thrower. I lose one to misfire, and the other one veers way off to the left-hand side. He's unable to recover to take out the other Bolt Thrower, so because of that, shooting was kind of uneventful. Combat, on the other hand, was actually pretty good. I managed to kill off half of the White Lions, but they in turn managed to kill nearly a quarter of my War Boys, so that part's kind of rough. But because of Stubborn, the Wardens basically hold on because of their Stubborn special rules. I win combat, so that part was kind of sad. So that was turn number 2 for the Orcs and Goblins. Turn number 2 for the High Elves, however, was like a really big one for them. Lord Lionel's retinue charges them Deathhead Goths and causes the Fanatics basically run loose. My Fanatics go through the Phoenix Guard, but only managed to kill one of them because of the ward save. So because of that, they ended up doing pretty good as well. The Sab Flutes as well as the Eagle Guard also charge into the War Boys as well for the front, so we have to deal with those guys with the next combat turn. And House Lionel Guard tried to charge into the Ludas, but then the Fanatics, so that unit on the left-hand side is unleashed. We kill 7 of those Silver Helmets because the Fanatic attacks. They fail their panic check, they turn around, they flee. So left-hand side is still kind of secure for my flank, so that's kind of nice. For the magic phase, Titus casts Arcane Unforging. I'm sorry, that's the name of the spell. That's the spell that kind of destroys a magic item. He casts it with Irresistible Force, and he destroys the Lucky Banner for Ground the Paunch. So because of that, I lose my 5 of ward save on that one. But he rolls a 2 on the miscast, and he is sucked into the warp, and kills a third of his Phoenix Guard in the process because of that blast. My opponent's dice basically abandoned him on that blast. You would think that ward saves, plus the 2-up ward save, from the Band of the Word Dragon would protect him, but he was just rolling 1s like it was nobody's business. So because of that, he loses about a third of the Phoenix Guard. So that was kind of cool. The War Boys, on the other hand, slaughter the Everwardens, and we also kill the Eagle Guard. We force them to flee, but we lose combat to the Sad Flutes. And so because of that, they have to turn around and flee because the Swordmasters won combat, and the Swordmasters pursue to chase them down. Luckily for me, though, they weren't caught, so much for that wonderful little right-hand hook I was hoping to deliver with my War Boys. So that was the phase for turn number 2. And with that, that takes us to turn number 3 for the Orcs and Goblins. The Goblins and Grom move up with the War Boys, fail their panic check, and because of that, the War Boys flee off the table, so that was kind of sad. In the Magic phase, the Shrieky Shroomhead casts the boosted version of Vindictive Glare. He gets it irresistible, he ends up killing half of the archers, but with the resulting explosion, because I rolled like a 5 on that one, the resulting explosion kills the majority of my unit, and because of that, my Goblins flee as a reaction because of that, so we run off the table. The archers, they don't run because, High Elves, I guess, fear nothing, so that was kind of sad. Both my Doomdiver also misses his shot next to the Swordmasters. He tried to shoot those guys, but he misses, unfortunately. And to make matters worse, the Phoenix Guard destroys the last of my Deathhead Goths, so the last of my Black Orcs are now dead, and now they're moving upward to face my general, so that is going to be all kinds of bad for me in the next turn. Turn 3 for the High Elves is pretty much uneventful. Lord Lionel's retinue attempts to charge at Ground the Paunch, but they fail. So that was kind of nice. So that was like 1-up for me. The rest of his army begins to swarm in. The Everwardens continue to flee, and House Lionel guards flee completely off the table. So bonus points from that on that one. So I get victory points from me. Pretty much there's no magic because their wizard's dead. There's no real shooting because their shooting is really off, and there's no combat at all going on because everything is fleeing or moving around to get into combat. So it was pretty uneventful for the High Elves, which is just the way I like it. So yeah. Alright, so now it comes to turn number 4 for the Orcs and Goblins, and basically I call upon the Wasp special rule, and I send Ground the Paunch charging to the Phoenix Guard. I managed to kill 4 of those guys with impact hits alone, and all my other units rally and basically move out to get into position for combat. So killing those 4 Phoenix Guard was kind of cool, actually. I was expecting to completely fail on the impact hits, but I guess the spirit of the apocalypse is with me now. Magic was pretty much useless. I didn't really get much done. The Doomdiver catapult shoots at the Sad Flutes and managed to kill 3 of them, and I must have killed the Poplar guy nice because that unit fails their panic test and they flee. So those guys are fleeing towards the end of the board. So that was kind of nice in the shooting phase. In close combat, armor saves and regen saves are like the thing that saved me the most. I was rolling those bad boys like a master. I couldn't have failed my 4 out of 5 ups if my life depended on it. So that was kind of nice. I managed to kill 3 Phoenix Guard with Elf Biter due to the Killing Blow special rule, and they were unable to stop with their ward save, so that was kind of nice. The Wolves did the impossible. The Wolves ended up killing 2 more Phoenix Guard on top of that. Even Nibbler, I mean, the Battle Center Bearer, the Night Goblin, which is kind of there just for kicks, he actually kills one guy too. He basically Hadoukens Phoenix Guard in the face and kills him. So I win due to combat resolution for all the wounds I inflict, and I also get a plus up 3 for the combat resolution for the wall. I rolled like a 6 on my D3 for the points, and so the Phoenix Guard actually tests, they break, and I pursue, and I run them down like the wimps they are. And so now those Phoenix Guard are now dead. So, wah! Alright, that takes us to High Elves turn number 4, which is another uneventful turn for the High Elves. The Sav Flutes fail their rally, and so because of that, the Swordmasters flee off the edge of the table. The Everwardens, they flee off the table, so that's kind of cool. So those 2 units are now completely gone. All we really have left is that unit of Archers, that half unit of Archers, as well as 2 Bolt Throwers. So, and to make the best part even better, the Bolt Throwers try to shoot, and they miss. So because of that, shooting was a complete waste of time for them. So, ugh. So much for psychology. Psychology is like really owning for me on this battle. That's the only way I'm only winning this at this point. So, yeah, that was turn 4 for the High Elves. Alright, that takes us for turn number 5 for the Orcs and Goblins. Basically, I take around the Paunch and our charge of Griffin Guard and destroy with impact hits alone. So because of that, I turn to face the Bolt Throwers, and basically the rest of my army kind of moves up from the movement phase. I'm out of range from magic because my level 2 Shrink and Shroom Night Goblin, he has really limited range, so magic was kind of a waste of time, so I just kind of skipped that completely. My Doom Diver fires and manages to kill one of the crewmen on one of the Bolt Throwers. That was pretty cool. Since there's no combat, that pretty much ends the turn for Orcs and Goblin, turn number 5. Turn number 5 for the High Elves is actually more uneventful than anything else. All we have left are those 2 Bolt Throwers. Both of those Bolt Throwers fire at Ground the Paunch. They both actually hit. They actually both wound as well. One of them was hitting me with 1 wound. I was able to stop that with the regen save, so that was pretty good. The other one I wasn't able to stop at all, so Ground the Paunch takes a wound, which is really close because those Bolt Throwers, man, without armor saves, I mean, they could just cut right through guys like it's nobody's business. So, whew, that was kind of close. So because of that, that was High Elf turn number 5. Alright, so that takes us to turn number 6 for the Orcs and Goblins. It's the last chance I get to have to kind of finish my opponent. As you can see in this picture, I basically do it. Ground the Paunch charges into the Bolt Thrower. He takes a wound because of dangerous terrain, but he still makes it anyways. He kills the Bolt Thrower with impact hits alone. My Night Goblins, as well as my Doom Diver, in the shooting phase, they take everything they have, and they fire everything they have with the last remaining Bolt Thrower, and they manage to kill it. And so with that, brings us to the end of the game. So as you can see there, that's pretty much the board. I completely tabled my opponent. I still have my 2 units of Night Goblins still left. I also got Ground the Paunch. Everything else, though, is either... Oh, and also a Doom Diver Catapult. He's on the bottom of the screen there. He's kind of cut off. He's right next to that tape measure. Everything else of mine pretty much just died or fled away. So let's take us to the action report.
Sure, I could have stayed in the past. Could have even been king. But in my own way, I am king. Hail to the king, baby.
Alright, so this is time for the after action report. This is the part of the battle report where we talk about what went well, what went bad, and what we can learn for the next time. And this battle ended up being a victory for Commander CheapSkate. I managed to table my opponent on that one. And the only reason why I was able to table my opponent was due to luck. That is it. Just pure and simple, stupid luck. That was the only thing that saved me. Fresh Prince Bel-Air's die simply abandoned him on his leadership checks in this battle. If it wasn't for majority of his units fleeing off the table, I would have been in really bad shape because my War Boys, which is the killers of my army, they basically fled off the table, so a big chunk of my points was gone, and he still had all these special elite units left. If it wasn't for the Silverhelms fleeing, if it wasn't for the Swordmasters fleeing, and same with the White Lions fleeing as well, I would have been destroyed. It's just as simple as that. I'm not going to say anything about being tactics, or I was just kind of like a beast at fighting, or I was just because of my really good tactical decisions. All it was is luck, so... But, you know, luck is luck, and that was kind of nice. That was the only thing that really saved me, so that was kind of nice. On the flip side, I need to update my list and get more bodies on the board. 20 Black Orcs, those guys aren't taking on anybody, and they got massacred pretty quickly by the Phoenix Guards. So because of that, I'm thinking about like rechanging some of my lists, maybe taking away some magical banners and go with some smaller ones. You know, start allocating points elsewhere to get more bodies on the ground and make this into a larger army because. You know, it's kind of small for Orcs and Goblin army. I noticed that when I was actually deploying, the moment I realized that my half opponent was putting down more units than I was, maybe it meant that wasn't such a good thing. So maybe I need to rethink that. This army is still fun. I still like the challenge of playing the Orcs and Goblins. I'm still having a blast doing that, so we'll continue on as is. So yeah, that pretty much sums up this battle report. This one is done, so on to the next one. Bye.